But when I heard about Krishna's rasa dance with Krishna, I mean, with the gopis, then immediately, no one had to tell me, immediately, within my heart, I wished that I could also become like the gopis and dance with Krishna in the rasa dance. Within the first week, I saw Krishna. I got darshan of Krishna within the first week of my involvement with this Hare Krishna movement. So powerful is this movement. People don't understand the potency of this movement. People don't understand. They take it cheaply. They don't care for it. Maybe they didn't have the experiences that I experienced, but when I experienced Krishna coming home from the pasturing grounds and seeing him coming home from the pasturing grounds with my own eyes, within the first week, he revealed himself to me and convinced me that he was a reality. I saw Krishna and Balaram and all the cowherd boys and all the cows. I heard their transcendental flutes. I heard their transcendental ankle bells overcoming me. They overwhelmed me and inundated my heart with transcendental bliss. Who was doing that? It wasn't my own figment of my imagination. Krishna personally appeared before me with all of his cowherd boys and calves. That's what convinced me about never to leave this movement. It was Prabhupada's movement that did that. Only 1 week. I got so much mercy. We didn't even have to use the time. He personally came. The living, moving, beautiful Krishna to Balaram. And all the cowherd boys so beautifully smiling and making such an incredibly joyous noise. Amazing.
But now when you tell you something, then they're all about Krishna, and then they just jump over gopis and sometimes this is not false. You just forget. Don't be mental. Don't be stuff like
It's all nonsense. I'm telling you, these people are total nonsense. They have no eligibility simply by seeing the beautiful picture. Not only that, I picked up Bhagavad Gita. I was smoking dope. I was smoking my father's marijuana, sitting in my father's house, completely bewildered. I opened up the Bhagavad Gita. I had already read Ishopanishad, and in spite of the fact that I was still smoking marijuana, I hadn't given it up. But I recognized just at the when I finished reading the Ishopanishad, I realized that I couldn't go back. I realized that I had met my eternal spiritual master, that he had come to rescue me. But still I was attached. I was still smoking the marijuana. It took me 1 week to give up smoking marijuana. 1 week after I finished reading, it took me 1 week to read Ishopanishad because I sat down with a dictionary and read every line very, very carefully. And I became so convinced. I remember when I read it, I was afraid to read about the author because I was afraid to read about the person that I had surrendered to. But it so affected me that even without knowing what was done to us, even without knowing what it meant to bow down to anyone, my head was on the floor, and I was pouring incessant tears because I realized that my material life was totally finished. You know? And then within a week's time, uh, I came to the movement. I joined on Easter Sunday, a week after. My father drove me to the temple, and he was telling that 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 don't you think that you'll be limiting yourself by monastic life? And I told him that the material world is limited, that the spiritual world is unlimited. So if I can get to the unlimited spiritual world, through the doorway of monastic life, then it cannot be called as limited. Yes. Explain that to me. And he was convinced. He let me go. You know? Then, but I sat down in my father's home and picked up Bhagavad Gita. And I read that in the introduction, Prabhu, in the introduction of ABC, that one can have a relationship with Krishna in the, what did it say? Can't remember exactly what it says. One can have a relationship with Krishna, you know, in Shantaras as a servant, you know, in Shantaras, or as um, a friend. No, you know, in a passive way, in Shantaras, as a servant, as a friend, as a parent, or as or what did it say? In conjugal ras. And I said, because you know my English wasn't very good then. Yes, I said, what's conjugal? You know, so I looked it up in the dictionary, and it said as you know, as a wife. So one can have a relationship with Krishna, you know, as a wife, you know. And I said, oh, that's the one. That's beautiful. That's fantastic. I was at that time. I hadn't given up my own wife yet, you know. I was still doggedly attached to the masculine egoism. But when I read that, it made such an impression. Just that one little word, you know, in Prabhupada's introduction, that I realized, or just from that one word, that oh, this is wonderful. Then after coming to the movement, and we started, you know, we would read Krishna book every day when we come back from Harinam Sankirtan. We would do Harinam Sankirtan and distribute back to Godhead magazines in dhoti and shaved head on the streets from Washington D.C. Then we would sit around drinking the hot milk and taking a little Mahaprasad and reading Krishna book. And we read all these, you know, chapters of Krishna book. There was no, you know, taboo about reading Krishna book. We were supposed to read Krishna books because Prabhupada told that you should read it at least 15 minutes before taking rest and you'll dream about Krishna. You know? And we wanted to dream about Krishna. Krishna didn't appear to me in a dream. It wasn't a dream. You know, it's one thing that we were reading Krishna book, you know, and then you know, because Prabhupada said that we'd dream about Krishna, and then I went to sleep and I dreamt about Krishna because I was reading Krishna. That's well and good. But Krishna personally appeared, transcendentally appearing, manifesting, giving me a sporty darshan of his real self, walking, talking, moving, flute playing Krishna. He didn't talk. He wasn't talking. They were playing their flutes. Amazing, tumultuous, wonderful. I'll never forget that sound vibration that I heard is eternally fixed in my mind. I'll never forget it. And the Ananda experience that I experienced at that time just totally overwhelmed my body. Still, there remains